Motherfucker.
Hold on, I hope y'all watching this shit.
First round, real quick.
That are in those training rooms with him know how good.
Because he just.
Now we're gonna go. I thought he was a con artist. Just based on the story. Holy shit! What the hell just happened?
What's up, motherfuckers? Welcome to G.W.R. Gonzo's Wrestling Room. We're live Tuesday, September 7th, 2021. Got a special guest here with me today. Let's get this music down to hear myself a little better. There we go. Got pro wrestler Aaron Atlas during this day. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm tired, but I think that's the answer for literally any wrestler ever.
Oh, yeah. Especially the ones like you that are traveling a lot.
Oh yeah.
'Cause it sounds like, from talking to you a little bit before, it sounds like you travel out of state quite a bit.
I do, yeah. So actually I started my wrestling career in Indiana. It's kind of where like my home base was. And then I just recently moved down south to like the Alabama, Atlanta, or Georgia border, and kind of like trying to hanker myself down here, but I still travel up to Indiana or Ohio, etc. And I actually sleep in my car to save money. So I sometimes when I get sleep, I don't get the best sleep because it's in a car.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, tired is the answer. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because I could see that because hotels would get expensive quick.
Oh yeah, especially around this time because it's like Christmas time. So,
Yeah, and gas prices have went up.
Oh, don't get me started. It's so weird because down south, like when I start traveling up towards like Indiana or something like that for the weekend, I'll it's like $290 down here, and then I get to Indiana, it's like $320. It's like Jesus Christ. I just need one of them electric cars, man, but that's too much money.
Yeah, like Friday it was we're in Muncie, and it was 330. It was 335 a gallon here in Muncie, and we went to Indianapolis to go to WCWO to watch their show Friday night, and gas in Indy was like 320 or 315. I'm like,
Oh my goodness.
damn.
It's
So let's fill. I told her, I said, let's fill up here before we head home. It's cheaper.
Yeah, it's smart there because me, like, sometimes it's the mentality of like I got to get gas now. It's so it's like I'm not gonna try and push it to the next gas station because when you're traveling, sometimes there's highways that don't have any exits on them. So I gotta go 40 some odd miles before I can even hit a gas station. So.
Oh yeah. How long have you been in the wrestling business?
I've been in the business total 5 years. That's including my training and my my knowledge with like camera work and stuff like that. Professionally wrestling in ring 3 years. So I think I just hit my 3 years last month. So I'm a little 3 years in a month. Yeah.
Where'd you do your training at?
So actually since I trained for 2 years. I trained actually at WCWO with Don Basher when I first started. And he was more old school teaching me, and I felt like I wasn't learning a whole bunch. And at that time, that was kind of like, hey, I want to do this, but I'm not super like 100% into it. And my job stopped letting me have specific days off, so I couldn't make my way up there to Indianapolis. And then Dale Patrick's, a good friend of mine, one of my better friends in the business, opened up his own Young Dragons Academy, and I was his first student and his first graduate. So he trained me for a year, and he taught me the indie style wrestling and the old school style wrestling. So I have 2 years of training under my belt before I got my first match. And then, like I said, just been wrestling for 3 years now.
When you first started, was you wrestling mainly here in Indiana?
Yeah, so my first match ever was against Ace Perry, because he's also another really, really great friend of mine in the wrestling business, and outside of the wrestling business. I was friends with him before I even started training wrestling. And when I first started, I wrestled in Shelbyville. That was my first match. And then after that, I was wrestling at WCWO for a long time. That's where I kind of like, they really taught me like how to perform and like the basics and stuff like that. They really have when I was there, it was more of a family mentality. It was like, hey, this is where you can go wrestle every week and learn every single week. I know they kind of had like a little bit of flack with like everything going on forever ago. But I'm so busy with traveling and stuff like that. I've never been able to really make it back. I wanted to, because I talked to Kid, the promoter or whatever, and talked to him about coming back for like a Rumble or something like that. Because I owe a lot of my early like wrestling to them, no matter what. So it's like I would be nothing without them, because being able to wrestle every Friday for a year straight, that's more wrestling than most other people do in a year.
Yeah.
So me having that opportunity was insane. But yeah, mostly Indiana for sure for like the first year or so of my career.
Yeah, it's crazy that they run every Friday like they have.
Yeah, it's very consistent, which is very like good on them. Like me, I feel like I get burnt out, man.
We went down there. I think we've been down there 4 times now. 'Cause we went down there once, and then we streamed it live and done live commentary, and then we went down there 3 times just to go watch.
Yeah, it's fun,
for $12 on a Friday night. I mean,
what else are you gonna do? Stay at home?
Indianapolis isn't that?
Yeah.
What, maybe an hour drive from where I live, so it's not that bad.
No, it's not bad at all. Pretty easy stuff.
So when you got done with your training, did you have like a home organization, or was you just bouncing around? Or
so my first company that I worked for, like I said, was WCWO. But after that, I think the first place that that I would consider my home base, would be New Wave Pro, which they run out of Terre Haute, Indiana. That was the first place that I had actually reached out to, like sent them my resume, and was first company to ever actually WCWO paid me one time, but it was the first company to actually like asked me my rate, pay me. It was super professional and stuff like that. So that was the first time I had actually done that, and I wrestled there consistently for a little over a year. Was their ultra rapid champion. I was their tag champ for a while, and I kind of had my run there for a while, and now I kind of just, I guess we'll say, I'm taking a break from that company because I've been there so long. Something I've learned, and Ace Perry taught me, was you got to make them miss you so that you can return and you can have that fire again. Because if you're there so long, you'll just get burnt out. And they'll just be like, oh, there's that we've seen him a bajillion times. So
and then, you pop back up.
That my home company, yeah.
You pop back up like 6 months later, and everybody goes crazy because they haven't seen you.
Exactly, yeah. You don't want them to get burnt out.
Is New Wave still running?
Yeah, New Wave still runs. I think they're having a show. Their next show is the anniversary show, which is in January.
Okay.
They just had November Rain. But yeah, I was there when COVID hit, and we were doing tapings, and we were in a building with no heat in the middle of winter, and I was, I went through it with that company. That was the first company where I was like, I'm willing to like this is my company. I'm gonna do everything I can for this company because they gave me my opportunity to be on a bigger platform. Like that was the first company I'd worked for that put my wrestling matches on IWTV, so I can link that stuff, so I owe them a lot too, so for sure.
What do you think was the hardest part about independent wrestling?
Oh man, it was I think the hardest part of independent wrestling is there's 2 things I'll say. It kind of ties for first place. One is keeping my mouth shut to people who are trying to teach me, because I got questions. And sometimes stuff doesn't make sense to me. You can explain it to me like I'm the dumbest person on the planet, and I'll be like, huh? So not asking questions right when I want to ask them, because if I don't ask them right away, I'm going to forget the question, and then I'm like, crap, I forgot to ask that one question. The other thing is I was always taught as a kid that respect your elders and stuff like that, but also don't take bullshit from nobody. So just having someone like, talk down to you, it's always like, hey man, like just telling someone to kind of stick it up their, whatever is something you can't really do, because you really got to respect it. And I'm not trying to get, blackballed from any companies or anything like that. So definitely the learning curve of being like, okay, you have to respect these people, even though you don't know them and they treat you like shit. So
now, do you see
not all the time. It's not always like that.
Yeah. You see more, well, see like all the organizations I've went to so far, and I'm back in the locker room and all that, but it just, most of them seem like a family atmosphere.
Yeah, for sure. If you're in a company like WCW or New Wave Pro, it's like I know all those people. They have a consistent roster. I mean, they'll bring in like a couple people here and there everywhere, but like some of my best friends that I have right now in the wrestling business, I met at either New Wave or WCWO, and those are people that like I consider like my genuine like best friends in the outside of the wrestling business. Because you have friends in the wrestling business or acquaintances and stuff like that, but for sure, just having having a family mentality is smart because you can actually talk to those people and they're not gonna like be offended or something like that
Yeah,
with like how you critique them.
that was something we noticed like WCWO, and then here in Muncie we go to DCCW.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies man Mike King is the guy over there that
Yeah.
runs that, and they all seem like a family. But I've also heard some horror stories or whatever about some promoters can be pretty bad.
Yeah, man. Promoters can be completely awesome to the like the scummiest people I've ever met. I've heard stories of people like bookers taking the money and leaving, and like I've heard stories of bookers shorting people money, which I don't take that shit. I've heard bookers, ban people from shows for like just rumors you hear in the locker room and stuff. So it is definitely like you hear about like the politicking and stuff like that, and like WWE and stuff like that. You hear all the stories, you've seen the articles, you've seen the videos, but that stuff is real because it's high school mentality for some people because they're living a high school or like childhood dream and they're trying to protect it with every being and they're trying to be friends with everybody. But some people don't give any shit about that and they're just trying to have their business be successful. So
So the scene's probably kind of like WWE, just on a smaller scale. Some of the
yeah,
drama and some of the bullshit you see, and
yeah, you'll see it every now and again. Even as sometimes as a fan, you may think you see it, but like I don't know, like I've been shorted money before, and like being as green as I was, I'm not going to say anything. But I watched as my trainer Dale was the same Dale Patrick's was at the same show, and they shorted him, and I watched him get out of his car, go back in, get the money, and then come back out, and I was like, I wish I had the balls to do that, but I definitely don't.
well, and he's probably been around a lot for
Yeah,
a
he has. He's
long
probably dealt with
time.
that for a while. Yeah, he's probably at my point in time where he wouldn't do that, but now
Because
he's
you
like,
don't
"All right, I'm
want to
getting
you don't
my
want to
money."
ruin relationships, because then
Exactly.
that's opportunity you don't have no more.
Yeah, you kind of just have to find that middle ground of trying to be nice about like, but how do you tell someone in a nice way, hey, you shorted me money, and
Yeah,
I know that you shorted me money. Well,
yeah.
let's not lie about it.
Uh, how do you get your name out to like other states where you can get on promotions there?
Yeah, so that's actually pretty hard. Like getting into New Wave Pro when I was just wrestling at WCW was actually very difficult. At least for me because I was so nervous of being like, "Hey, I've only wrestled at this one company. Please take a chance on me." And I got lucky with that one. With just kind of like being somewhat friends with a small group of people. But even then, like I didn't have any friends in the wrestling business, and the friends that I did have in the wrestling business pretty much weren't. They're like, hey, we're gonna help you with wrestling, but we're not gonna like put our namesake out there and put our name on you because if you screw up, then that makes me look bad. But getting it in other states is kind of just hoping and sending your resume out, hoping that person will get back to me. If not, I will. Now that I have more friends now. I'll be like, hey, can you put like a word in for me and kind of like tell them I'm super great at wrestling and you should totally book me. But when I moved down to Alabama, I got a gym membership at a local gym because Planet Fitnesses aren't my thing. They are every now and again if I have to, but I got a hometown gym and I was working out there, and this super tan jacked guy came up to me and was like, "You a bodybuilder?" And I'm like, no, like I'm not even that big, and I kind of like wanted to be like, well, I'm a wrestler, so that's why I have like some muscle definition. He's like, oh, I own my own company. So somehow, like my first day moving to Alabama, I met a wrestling booker, and then he put a word in for me for another guy. A guy reached out to me, and then all these other companies started reaching out to me. I was like, oh, so this is what it's like to have people contact me, and I've double booked myself on some days by accident because I forget I'm booked and stuff like that. But it was pure luck that I got booked in Alabama and at a bunch of other different companies. I'm watching the live stream on my phone, and I have Logan Vitor saying, "You're welcome. Found that gym for us." That is my significant other. She did find that gym for us because I really didn't want to work out at a Planet Fitness, man. Those things are awful. And she helps me too with getting booked too.
Hollywood House on here said that that was a good point about you're living a childhood dream, but you don't know how to handle it like an adult.
Yeah, it's very true. It's because like I said, they're just trying to protect that just as easy as they can. They want to be, everyone wants to be friends with everyone. So they accidentally burn down bridges with other people by accident because they're trying to please someone else. You're not gonna make everyone happy. You just kind of something you have to, you know,
when you
just gotta deal with it.
Like going from like Indiana to Alabama or a different state, is the style of wrestling different?
Oh yeah. So where I wrestle at now, some of the companies that I wrestle for are a lot more old school. So they don't like intergender wrestling. It's not that they don't like it. It's just that like people down here are like super old school. So if they see like a man, quote unquote, beating a woman, they'll hop. I think I was at a show and a mom almost jumped the barricade. It's like
they freak out
jumping to beat Seth Rollins up, dude, jumping the barricade and stuff. Except we ain't got security. We might have like a guy who says he's security.
Yeah,
he ain't doing nothing.
Yeah, he just standing there, kind of looking around.
Oh, this is a good wrestling show. You should. Oh,
okay. Yeah, that's why he's doing security. He gets the best seat in the house. Exactly. Stand right there by the ring.
It's smart. If you guys want to get in the wrestling business, be a security guard. But with Logan being my significant other, she kind of helps me get booked too, because her being a woman wrestler, or a wrestler that happens to be a woman, she's pretty good at what she does. She can get booked a lot more places than I do because it's not as saturated of a field as male wrestling is. I mean, there's so many professional wrestlers that wrestle the way I do, look the way I do. And so when you have someone like her who's really good at wrestling and looks the part, she looks like a wrestler. She gets booked a lot of places, and she tells them like, "Hey, this is the show I'm going to. Do you care if I bring this person? Can you get him a spot or something like that?" And if that'd be a pre-show or something like that, I still show face to that person. They're like, "Oh, this dude's actually really good. Maybe I'll put him on, the actual roster itself."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So she helps me get booked out of state as well. So I have to thank her for that.
How long has she been in the wrestling business?
She's been in the business. She got trained by Dale Patricks as well.
Okay.
A little bit after I started wrestling, and she started she had her first match ever at WCWO against Dale Patricks. But she's been in the business, I think, a little over a year. I think she likes to say a year because she doesn't count COVID months, because she wasn't really wrestling that much. I was doing tapings and stuff like that. I don't think she really was, because she was so green. But I think 1 to 2 years is where she's at in the business.
All right. Might have to contact her, see if she would like to come on the show sometime.
Yeah, man. She's a nervous wreck, man. She needs to get out of her box and start talking to people. She's just like, I don't know, I'm just nervous, It's like, just talk to the person, man. It's just talking to another person.
Oh, what got you into the wrestling business? Were you a fan as a kid, or?
Yeah, so actually one of my earliest memories, I talk about this a lot, and a lot of my friends have heard me say this story a lot. So one of my earliest memories of professional wrestling was my dad had bought me a TP tent, right? And I set it up in the living room, and I was watching wrestling. And the only reason I know this is the match I was watching was because the confetti comes down. I was watching WrestleMania 20, Chris Benoit, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and triple threat main event where Chris Benoit taps out Triple H, and Eddie comes out and he hugs Chris Benoit and the confetti falls. So that's my earliest memory. And I remember watching that match and be like, this is the fucking coolest thing I've ever had in my life. And I was a fan. And then my mom would buy me action figures. I had a hurricane mask and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Mankind mask my brother had. I have a twin brother, actually, who's a wrestler and owns his own company too.
Oh, okay.
So maybe you can get him on here too.
Yeah.
But he's my twin brother, and we had getting action figures. We had the ring and the action figures, and play fighting with them and stuff, setting them up, taking pictures of them and stuff. So that was but when I got to like my teenage years, that kind of stopped. We were I didn't grow up super rich or anything like that. I was, we had enough to get by. And kind of had to like get rid of like the unnecessary stuff like toys when you're moving from house to house to house to house almost every year. You can't really take a bunch of stuff with you. So kind of had to grow up pretty quickly. And then what got me in the business was I would watch wrestling like every now and again. Like I wasn't like during the PG era. I don't know anything about that PG era. I had to go back and watch that stuff to catch up on what's happening now. Like I didn't watch Nexus. Like I knew who CM Punk was, you know, because obviously he's insanely popular. It was all over, you know.
Yeah.
Facebook at the time was probably new, you know. So whenever I lived in Martinsville, Indiana, I went to a gym called Reps Fitness. It was another hometown gym. It's not like Planet Fitness. It's like you lift your weights, you go there to work out, you know. People are grunting, slamming weights down and shit.
Yep.
So I met, or actually I saw this video on Facebook. It was of Ace Perry. I didn't know who Ace Perry was at the time. And he asked a girl, which I do believe, and he can correct me if I'm wrong. He asked, she had, I think, I don't want to say she had a mental disability or something like that, but she had something. I can't put my finger on it. Sorry. But he asked her to prom, and it was a super awesome, like adorable story and stuff like that. He asked her to prom. They went to prom together. They had an awesome time. You know, I mean, she was a fan of his for like ever, and it blew up. It essentially went viral for that time. And I remember watching that video on repeat and be like, this dude's so cool. This story's so cool. She's so cool for being a fan, you know, and that deep into being a fan of professional wrestling. Because most people on the independent scene just are fans just to be fans, you know, to see the next guy rise to the top. And she was like a hardcore fan for Ace Perry. And I remember my brother Austin was working at a local Steak and Shake, and he was the manager, and he got a job at that Steak and Shake. Ace Perry did. I didn't know this at the time, you know, and I go to Reps Fitness one day, go to the gym, and I look over, I'm like, that's that motherfucker from the video. No shot, no way in hell is that dude here right now. And I walked up to him and I just introduced myself, and he's like, yeah, I work with your brother and stuff like that. And I would go to the gym and I'd see him and I'd talk to him about it, and he's like wrestling and stuff like that. And he offered me, he was like, hey, just come to a show one time. And I went to a show, and he wrestled Slade Porter, and he put him through a pile of chairs. And I was like, yep, this is it. This is what I'm doing. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. The crowd was so into it. They were yelling and screaming, and they were booing and stuff. And they were like, they were so into it. And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And I think that night or the next week, I talked to Don Basher, and he started training me and stuff like that. And it happened so fast. Like I look back on it, and I was just like, oh yeah, I'm a wrestler now. This is what we're doing. And I was definitely taken aback for sure, because I had other goals in mind of like I wanted to be, you know, I was working at T-Mobile. I was like, I want to be a store manager. I'm just gonna make my money and live my life. And then I found Ace Perry, and he's a wrestler. Now I'm a wrestler, and it's like, all right, we're a wrestler now. This is the goal that we have now. This is what we have.
When you left WCWO, was Basher still running it?
Yeah, he was. I think one of my last shows there was a little bit after he actually had passed away, which was sad, because that's the person who kind of essentially started training me. He gave me the opportunity to be a wrestler, trusted me in being like their champion for a little while, and definitely like saw something in me. So it's like him passing away was definitely very sad. And then soon after that's when I started like, you know, picking up at other places, and it was harder to get Fridays off from work and also get a Saturday off from work where I can travel, you know what I mean? Because jobs hate that shit, apparently. Asking for a Friday night off.
Oh, yeah.
It's just the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
It's like cardinal sin.
Hollywood House said, why did you torture yourself with the PG era?
So I didn't actually watch the PG era. So I actually stopped watching wrestling. I want to say right before the PG era, because I remember I was at my grandmother's house playing good old Uno. My grandma would kill me at Uno, but I love playing with her. But I remember she would have it just on the background on the TV, and I'd be playing, and I'd be watching. And it was the first time I was ever introduced to like Sheamus and stuff like that. And he was like champion. I didn't know who Daniel Bryan was. There's all these people during that time period. I had no idea.
So you had to go back and watch a little bit of it so you could learn about them.
Exactly. Like I've gone back and I've watched that stuff now, but my time period is like or what I like to watch consistently, or my brother had like VHS tapes of like the Triple H VH, the black and white VHS tape, or like had the 3-disc set of like old WWE championships. It was like Undertaker, Yokozuna. So it's all the old stuff. So I didn't grow up with that stuff because technically I would have grown up with the PG era, but I didn't have access to TV because, like I said, I didn't grow up rich or anything. I didn't have cable. You know, I had DVDs or VHS tapes, and I would pop those suckers in, and I'm watching DX.
We'll say get the DX DVD set for your birthday or something, but the movie you're watching it. That's how we was.
Yeah, so I didn't watch PG era, so I didn't know what it was like to watch that stuff. Like one of my favorite wrestlers of all times is Triple H. 2001 Triple H, Jack can barely put his arms down to his sides and shit after that quad surgery and stuff. That's like that was where I was like, this is the coolest shit. So it was right there, like the Attitude Era.
Yes, I was a big Stone Cold fan.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't grow up on it, but technically, like I said, I would have grown up on the PG era, but I was not watching that because I didn't have TV. I had DVDs or old VHS tapes I had to watch.
PG era, I got stuck watching a lot of it because that was when my son was growing up, and he was a big fan. So I'd take anytime they were in Indiana, we'd usually go to watch a live event. I took him to SummerSlam one year here in Indy.
Yes, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I remember when I was real young. I think my mom and my brother bought like nosebleed tickets in Indianapolis to watch like The Rock or something like that. I actually didn't go to my first live event until I was like almost a couple years into my wrestling career. And it was a SmackDown because they were cheaper tickets and because it's not Raw, you know. And they came to Indianapolis. And I was like, I've never been to a show, and I went with all my friends and my girlfriend. Watched it. It was when start of Kofi Mania when he did the gauntlet match, and Randy Orton came out last, I think, or something like that, and beat him. And it was the start of Kofi Mania. Then the next show, because I was like, dude, this is awesome. I love this. Is when they brought Pyro back, and the Fiend was starting to become a thing.
Yeah.
So like I got tickets where I was looking straight at the thing because I knew they were bringing Pyro back. It was so loud. First time I've ever seen it. It's like,
oh yeah.
Like, yes. Oh my God. And then this is the first time I've ever experienced it the way it should be. Yeah. And then I remember
people don't realize how loud that is.
Not at all. It's like you see it on TV and you hear it, but in person, it's almost deafening. It's like, oh, like holy shit, you know. And
like when they do the fire, you can feel the heat.
Yes, you can. You absolutely can. But no, there's the main event, which is where the TV cuts off and they have an extra match at the end.
Yep.
And it was Cesaro versus Miz. And I left my seat, walked all the way down because I wanted to see Cesaro wrestle. Because at this point, I was a massive fan of Cesaro. Because that motherfucker can go. Dude.
Yeah, he's a worker.
Yeah, but this is like Capri wearing, tennis shoe wearing Cesaro for some reason. But and then the Fiend came out, lights started shutting out, and I was like, this is so fucking cool. So I was almost like witnessing my version of the Undertaker. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't work there anymore. Bray Wyatt, but that was so cool to see that happen. And but yeah, that was wild. But that's definitely I don't even know. We've probably gotten off track of the original question, but
I was lucky as a kid because anytime they were here, my dad's a big wrestling fan still to this day. He watches wrestling basically every day of the week. He don't miss a show, but So when the wrestling was here, he'd always take us. So when I was growing up, I got to see everybody, but Hulk Hogan was the only one I didn't ever get to see. Yeah. Every time we were supposed to see him, we'd get there and there'd be a damn paper on the door saying that he was hurt and wasn't going to be there. They'd offer you a refund. They'd offer you a refund for your tickets, or you could still go to the show. Well, we're already there.
Yeah, just watch.
But Dad used to get good. He used to get us good tickets. We'd be second row right in the aisle. And
I wish, man.
I got the whole Jake the Snake, Damien the Snake.
Yeah.
He brought it out as he was coming to the ring and he was holding it up, and a whole bunch of us all got to touch it and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, no, I didn't get to do nothing like that, but yeah.
And then years later, we were helping a guy. Well, we weren't helping him, but he was helping us. Jason Maples. Mm-hmm. He's a wrestling promoter. He does that Heroes and Legends. But he used to do some stuff out of Marion. Well, he came to Muncie to help. We done a show to try to help raise money for a community center. And Jake Snake Roberts came there. Hell, I sat outside. I sat outside that community center and talked to him for like an hour. It was one of the coolest dudes I'd ever met. At that time, I was probably 26, 27 years old.
Yeah, that's cool, man. There's not a lot of opportunities you get to talk to people like that who've been in the business so long. I think I've been to like the seminars and stuff like that where they, they teach you stuff, and I've asked questions and talked very minimal, but I've never really held a conversation with really any names, so to speak, in the business. But uh, yeah, no, that's super cool for sure.
Who were some of the guys that you watch and like you kind of molded your style and stuff off of?
Um, so a lot of my style is based off of what I wanted it to be based off, because I'm a fucking mark. Is I was such a huge fan of Triple H, man, dude. Like the way he hit the Arn Anderson spine buster,
Oh,
and
perfect.
stuff like that, dude. It's perfect every time. But being in the independent wrestling business, every other dude does a spine buster. And it's just like, okay, well, that's off the chopping block. And you can't do the pedigree because that's fucking Triple H's move. Ain't no one doing the pedigree except him. And then then there was really nothing that he really did that stood out, except for like the sell over the top ropes where he'd get whipped, like Rock would whip him into the buckle and he'd twist
Yep.
over the top. I can't do that. I mean, surprisingly athletic. So I couldn't mold my move style after him. I wanted to, but I couldn't. So when I was watching professional wrestling, it was trying to find something that fit the mold of me and what I could do and what I could do consistently. I remember I hit a drop kick one time, landed on my elbow, broke my elbow. Don't do drop kicks no more. I ain't doing drop kicks no more. So I thought I could do drop kicks. Can't do drop kicks. I used to do a moonsault off the top, and I slipped one time. I ain't doing moonsaults no more. So I can't do moonsaults. Can't do drop kicks. Right. So I needed to find something. Do his high knee. So I see Khan said do his high knee. I actually did do the high knee one time against Nate Matthews at BMFX. And I did it one time, and he told me to keep it, and I haven't done it since. Actually, so. But no, I wanted to mold I kind of a mash of everything. Since I was trained by Dale Patricks, and I had some help from a couple other people, like Ace helped me a little bit, and I trained one time with Shotzi Blackheart and Trick Cassidy. Those guys kind of were there just to kind of watch, and they were training themselves, but they were partaking. So I was kind of learning from them. So I was learning the lucha style from like Ace, because he definitely performs in like a lucha wrestling style. So I learned how to chain wrestle his way. I learned the stiff shots. So my strikes came from Dale Patricks, and that man can hit like a freight train. And then I learned kind of some more like wrestling style stuff from like Trip Cassidy and stuff like that. So it was definitely a jumbled mess of like what I could and couldn't do, but it never really made sense. I watched one of my old matches back recently. I watched and I was like, there's no structure to this thing, and this thing is awful. And then, but now it's kind of mostly based off of PWG stuff, just stuff I see, and I kind of make it my own. So I've kind of molded it from old CM Punk stuff that I've seen in Ring of Honor, some Ricochet stuff you see in PWG, and then the reason why I do that is because some of the stuff that Ricochet does, like the springboard lariat and stuff like that, is very wow. But then you need like a hard hitting style like CM Punk's Ring of Honor stuff, where it's strikes but wrestling and stuff like that. So I'd say old school CM Punk, Ring of Honor, and then some PWG Ricochet stuff mixed with like Jonathan Gresham wrestling as well. So it's just like wrestling and somewhat high flying stuff is what I'll say. Short answer.
When you started training, what was the hardest thing to learn?
A lot of people I see when they start wrestling is like I watched someone the last weekend was training someone in the ring, and I see a lot of people struggle with bumps. Not for me though. I was like, if I'm gonna bump, I'm gonna bump. It's like, if I like, I'm not gonna. I've seen people like collapse on their like butt and stuff like that, and they're like rolling backwards and stuff. But no, I think the hardest thing to learn in training was to not blow myself up. I was like holding my breath, doing rolls, doing like a dive and taking a bump, and I'm holding my breath, not breathing out properly. And by the time I'm done with like a simple drill, I'm just over here just like I can't breathe. And but now like when I wrestle, I think I wrestled like a 15-minute match with Nate Matthews, and that thing was long, and I went to the back and I was like, I'm not even blown up. So I've definitely learned, but that was the hardest thing, was to not blow myself up on something so simple and basic. So
What's your goal or end game in the wrestling business?
Yeah, man. I remember when I first started, Ace Perry asked me, like, what's your goal? And I was like, I want to make it, And he's like, well, people have different versions of making it, right? I think for me, it would to be, I want to at least a small goal. I have two different goals, and one crazy, 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 crazy goal. One is I want to sign on the dotted line somewhere. I want to be contracted somewhere. If it be Impact, I'd say Ring of Honor, but not anymore. Impact or AEW, WWE, right? Even if it's so many years down the road, that's the goal. The other one I have is to just be mentioned by some of the greater wrestlers. Be like, oh, what about this person? So just having my name brought up in some sort of debate of being like, who's one of the better wrestlers from Indiana? You know what I mean? Like you have the list of people and I'm on that list.
Leave your mark on the business.
Exactly. Some way, shape, or form kind of have my mark on this. This crazy, crazy, crazy goal that I have is to be Triple H's retirement match. That's what I want, man. Or like to share the ring with him somehow, man, some way, dude. Because that dude is kind of like the person I idolize. Because being as popular as he was, and a lot of people will quote it to, I don't know, like being married to Steph, you know what I mean? To me, it was like, no, you have a great entrance, you have great music, your entrance is dope, you have moves that make sense, you know how to wrestle, you're a heel that gets cheered, you cut great promos. It's like you're all around exactly what The Rock was as a baby face, but you're a heel. So it's like not many people can get over as a heel and get cheered as a heel. Some people can. It's very hard, but he did it, and I think he's like the bar. He set the bar for like how far can you go, how over can you get as a heel.
And he was over before he ever married Stephanie too.
Yeah.
People seem to forget that.
Yeah, he's like he was with China, and like he was getting himself over with DX before he was even with Steph. So it's like who else can tell the crowd to suck it and be degenerates and somehow get over now? You can then, you can't now.
No.
So I think he did a very good job, man. He's just
DX came through right at the right time.
Yeah, I think he definitely got he just perfect timing, just right place, right time, etc.
Just like the Stone Cold and McMahon feud it came through at the right time too.
Yeah, I agree.
Who else was you a big fan of when you was a kid besides Triple H?
I would say I wasn't a huge fan of. I liked Stone Cold because it's for me. It's always how can someone react to you immediately, right? So you had Stone Cold's interest with the glass break. And it's like no one can really get that same reaction. Or like we ended up like The Rock. Like there's entrances, but it's like how they react to you so quickly. For me, it wasn't always about that, but it was so cool that they could have such a reaction so fast. They haven't even wrestled yet, and they're like Rock and Hogan are getting chants of this is awesome. They haven't even touched yet. You know what I mean? So I would say my fan of growing up, I would say I don't want to give a basic answer like Shawn Michaels or something like that. We'll say like WCW. I was a big fan of Chris Jericho when he was in WCW or WCW, not WCW. It'd be cool if he was there.
I'm
WCW.
I'm a big Jericho fan.
Yeah, so when he was in WCW, being a heel and then being able to wrestle, and then growing up, I played I actually, this is a side track. I never played WWF No Mercy on the N64. I played WCW NWO Revenge. I didn't even know WWF No Mercy existed.
Oh,
so yeah, so I played that like a couple years ago for the first time. It was awesome.
Oh yeah, we used to always play No Mercy.
Yeah, so I was always I would always play as Chris Jericho or Raven, like it's kind of just those sets of people. I didn't really like. I wasn't a big fan of Hollywood Hogan. I didn't like the NWO that much.
No,
being honest with you, I was like, because I liked wrestling. I liked
like Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
Dean Malenko.
Exactly. Yeah. So I like that. I liked wrestling. I liked the athleticism that came like with Alex Wright and stuff like that. And he's like 6'3" and tall as crap doing backflips off the ropes and stuff like that, which probably wasn't, allowed by a lot of people back then. But I wasn't a huge fan of NWO because Kevin Nash just like his style of wrestling didn't suit me. Same thing with like Hogan and Scott Hall. They were just like slow moving and just kind of like slowed matches down to like, having like 15, 20-minute matches where like 3 moves happened. And I was more like a WCW cruiserweight. Rey Mysterio's diving on you from the get go, throwing you in, doing the top rope head scissors and stuff like that. So, I'm not gonna deny NWO was great. You know what I mean? It's like not many people like DX can take over an entire industry and make a mark like that. Yeah. But for me, it's just like I wanted to watch wrestling, so for me it was I didn't even like cruiserweights too much because sometimes it was too fast. So it was definitely a middle ground with like someone like Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit. Hearing Chris Benoit chop someone's chest and just ricocheting throughout the entire stadium or something like that. So that's who I would say. Chris Benoit, young Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, like those sets of people. Eddie.
Yeah, NWO was cool, but for me, they drug it out too long.
Yeah, I go back and watch it. Yeah,
but my dad said Triple H has a great mind. Hybrid Championship Wrestling made a comment.
Well, we heard our name out at James' house. This guy looks like a wrestling fan. Maybe we should invite him to our next show and offer him a couple free tickets. Oh, that's awesome. No More Season Ship, but WCW NWO Revenge was
is Hybrid, is that the one that your brother runs?
Yeah, so he runs that company, Hybrid Championship Wrestling. So he had been wanting to run his own company for a very long time, and they finally did it. And I think so far they've been pretty successful and stuff like that. The next show they have is in January 28th. They have like Warhorse. I think they're bringing in Ace Perry, Dale Patricks. I'm on the show. Put myself over.
January 28th.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah.
Where's this at?
I think it's in Terre Haute. Terre Haute.
Terre Haute?
Yeah.
All right.
It's about an hour or so drive from Indianapolis.
I'm writing it down because we're gonna try to come to that.
Yeah, it's a good show. I mean, the last show was good. I was only assumed the next show would be good.
Well, that's the cool thing that starting to doing this podcast and interviewing a lot of you guys is I'm learning about new organizations that I don't know about.
Yes, same for me. Same for me. Like sometimes people be like, "Yeah, I'm going to PPCI CCCW," and I'm like, "What did you just say? And what company is that?" And then find a new company that I can possibly work for and stuff like that. So there's companies everywhere. There's a huge amount of them.
I'm definitely gonna have to. We'll definitely come down. That's the 28th. I wrote it down. I know my dad will be down to go down there.
Yeah, man. If they have Warhorse, which I think is going to be like their main draw, but I mean they have your Indiana-based people like Ace Perry and stuff like that who perform at such a high level. It's insane.
Because like we're going to 2 organizations this weekend I've never seen. We're going to WTF, that Wrestling Theology. I've never seen them. We're going there. We're going to actually be doing some show stuff there.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
And then on Sunday, we're doing that MPG. We're doing live commentary and live stream of it.
Heck yeah, dude. That's awesome.
And then Lafayette, you said that's the show you'll be on, which I'm looking forward to that. Because I watched a lot of your matches last night on YouTube.
Yeah, they're okay. You might not find a whole bunch of them. A lot of them I upload. A lot of people tell me to privatize them because they're like, "Oh, we don't want our matches out there, like we want it on our DVD or whatever." And I'm just like, all right, I guess I won't. But I think I have a couple on there that I have. I think I have one on my channel that I have. It's just me and Ace Perry because that's the only one I was not asked to take down. Also, a lot of my other matches I just don't like. I watch them back and I'm just like, man, you suck.
Oh, some of your old ones at WCWO.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it was you, Del Patricks, and Dex Royal.
Yeah, that was a short match, but I remember that was long ago. I don't think I was champion then, was I? I don't think so.
I don't think so. No,
Dale was.
Dale was the champion.
Yeah. So he breaking the little curtain here is soon after that I actually won the territorial title at WCW, and they allowed me to cash it in, and I cashed it in on Dale, and I beat Dale for it. So I was the heavyweight champion and the territorial champion twice. 2 champs, 1 night at WCW. Ain't no one ever done it. I'm the only one to do it. All right.
Watch that one. Then there was one that was like 3 or 4 weeks ago, but I can't remember who you was wrestling now.
I'm trying to think of who I wrestled. It may have been, I don't know. I had a couple. I wrestled, what's his name? I forget names. Griffin, Jack Griffin. I wrestled him, and then I had another one where I wrestled Jordan James.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. Jordan James.
Yeah, that was a shorter match because I had to those two shows.
Because that was at BMFX.
Yeah. Yeah, I had wrestled there, and this is another time where I had double booked myself. I try and book myself as much as possible if I travel.
Yeah.
So I can make my money back in gas, because gas is so expensive. So I had double booked myself at BMFX, and I was like, hey, do you care if we put me on early on the card so I can go to another show? And then I had to leave that show in my gear. I had knee pads on, so I was like, if I get pulled over, it's going to be the weirdest thing ever. But we had had my gear on. I left that show to go to another show, and had to drive like an hour and some knee pads and some boots.
Wonder what feed.
Did they lose the feed? Are we losing the feed?
Which, yeah, because them guys were commenting on Facebook.
And there you go.
I'll see if it's working. But
we gotta check the feed. We gotta make sure it's still up.
What?
Oh, someone says it's all good.
Oh.
We're back. Marcus says we're back.
There we go. That's good.
That's good to hear.
I'll tell you what, man. You pay so much for internet to get good internet, and then you still and then you it seems like you still have trouble.
Oh yeah, and then you have your Wi-Fi outages, and it's like, all right,
yeah,
look, give me my bill, and we're gonna take like $20 off of it because 2 of those days I didn't even get to use it.
Harvest Havoc. Okay. They had Rikishi was there. Head Shrinker Samu was there. The Boogeyman was there. Well, the next day I was making all my clips to put out.
Mm-hmm.
Next day Facebook was down like from 8 to like 5.
Oh, is it that day where like Facebook completely crashed? Yeah. So, oh my god.
So that my video and stuff ended up doing pretty good on YouTube, but it like didn't do hardly nothing on Facebook because it was down all day. I was like,
yeah,
man,
that was rough.
The luck.
Yeah.
But it recovered because that video is actually our most viewed video.
Yeah, man. Especially
on YouTube now.
Yeah.
Like, is wrestling like independent wrestling scene? Is it like cutthroat because you guys are competing for a limited amount of spots on different shows, or do a lot of the guys or a lot of guys like friendly and help each other? Or
yeah, mixture? You get some people. I'm gonna put some of my friends over, I guess. So my 3 best friends in the professional wrestling business and outside of professional wrestling is Nate Matthews, Matt Brannigan, and Eric Dillinger. So we have a group, us 4, called Clickfeld, and you probably can't see it, but I have this armband here. It says Clickfeld with the Seinfeld logo on it. And we just do skits and promos based off of skits and stuff from Seinfeld. So we just call ourselves Clickfeld to put ourselves over, because it seems like everyone in the business has some sort of fucking posse, so they can all help each other get booked. So it's like, you know what? Let's just hop on the train. You know, let's get people unbooked. Let's book ourselves. You know, book ourselves strong. You know, we're basically like DX, but like way smaller. So, but no, with people like that, you get lucky. And most people are friendly as long as you are friendly. But I've seen people tell other people or promoters, like, don't book that guy. That guy's an asshole. Or don't book that guy. That guy's a dick. You know what I mean? So I've seen it happen for sure. And sometimes they're right, and the dude is a fucking dick, and he shouldn't be booked anywhere. But, you know, who am I to tell someone to not do that? You know what I mean? So I've seen it be cutthroat. It actually has happened to me at a company that I won't name because they don't deserve it, you know. But they stopped booking me, and I wrestled there consistently for a while. They just stopped booking me just because of a rumor or something. I've heard a bunch of different things. So I've seen it be cutthroat, but I've also seen the exact opposite, where everyone's trying to help everyone, you know, especially from my group of friends, where like if someone, I think Eric Dillinger wrestled at New Era Wrestling and in Shelbyville, and he couldn't make the show because I think he had gotten injured. So he put my name in the hat, and they contacted me, so I got booked at that show. So
was that the one last weekend?
No, it was a while ago actually.
Oh,
He was supposed to wrestle. It was right before he got his championship there. But yeah, he had put my name in the hat, so it kind of helped me get my face in at that company. So like I said, I've seen it both ways.
What was the name? It was Shane Matthews, Eric Dillinger.
So it's Nate Matthews.
Nate Matthews.
Yeah, I think it's on Twitter or
Okay.
Instagram. It might be Evolved #1 NM, I think. So Nate Matthews, Eric Dillinger, which you may know who he is. He's kind of popping up everywhere. And then Matt Brannigan, which is now based out of California. Used to be in Ohio and Indiana, but he's in California doing big money stuff. So,
Brannigan?
Yeah, Brannigan.
Okay.
Matt Brannigan.
I'll have to check them guys out.
Yeah, they're awesome, man. Nate Matthews, that dude's got talent like it's nobody's business.
I think he's going to be at one of the shows that we're getting ready to be at.
I think he's the BMFX champion, so he might be at that show.
Yeah, I think that's his poster he was on. Yep.
Yeah, so he's one of my best friends.
That's going to be a good card.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then it's got a lot of people on it. And then Matt Brannigan, I met him at New Wave Pro, and I've been in contact with him. We were tag champs at New Wave Pro and stuff like that. Best friends. Dude's insanely talented and super jacked. And then Eric Dillinger, he's got it. You know, he's got that X factor. He's got the character, the promos.
I've heard his name.
Wrestling ability. Yeah, so he's awesome. I met him at New Wave Pro too, and like I said, that's my close knit community. Rebecca or Logan Vitor, she gets mad at me because I don't bring her up ever, because I feel like by default you're automatically brought up. But she's like she wants to hear the name, so she wants me to bring her up. So she's a part of that group too. She's had some cameos in our Seinfeld bits for sure.
Oh, my dad will love that because he's a big Seinfeld fan.
Oh yeah, they know a lot more of it than I know because I watched it sporadically with my father, but they grew up on it as that was their comedy, so they know a lot more than I know. But they love making skits based on that stuff. So, you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna look them guys up because I might see if they want to come on the show. But
I'll convince them. You'll have to get all four of us on here. It'll be a mess.
Oh, we could do that. I've heard that Dillinger. The Dillinger, I've heard his name, but I haven't seen him yet.
Yeah, he's
in
awesome.
The same way with Matthews, I heard the name because I saw him on the poster.
Yeah.
Because actually, because he was the one I told my dad. I said he looks like Bret Hart on that. On that poster,
pretty much based on Bret Hart.
On that poster, I looked at it. I told my dad, I said, "Look, so this dude looks pretty close to like Bret Hart."
It's like I didn't know Bret Hart was still wrestling.
You have any crazy fan stories from traveling around doing these wrestling?
Not really crazy. I have one fan that it's kind of like that weird thing where like they're always like, "Can I have a hug?" And it's like this 13-year-old little girl, and it's like, "Yeah, sure." Yeah. You know what I mean? But other than that, I haven't really had any crazy fans. I had one fan try and buy my underwear off me. That was a weird one. And I pretty much had to block a person, and it was like, "Yeah, this is fucking weird. So send me pictures of it. I want to buy it." I'm like, "No, I'm good. I need this stuff. You know, I don't have a lot of it."
I've heard a lot of stories of guys saying they get some weird messages on social media and stuff and had to block people. And
oh yeah, it's been there. I think Eric Dillinger, he was in a death match one time, and he sold his bloody pants or his shirt or something like that because someone wanted to buy it. And yeah, I was like, "All right, okay, whatever you want to do, man."
Have you ever done a death match?
I have not. I've done the occasional hardcore match where, you know, you put tables or chairs, something like that. Not blood, though. No blood. I actually had a match, which I think he's coming back to wrestle soon, which I'm super excited for, man. I had a hardcore match with Blake 182, and he hit a Phoenix Splash on me, and he broke his fucking ankle. And we had to finish the match early, which we were close to the finish anyway. But he broke his ankle, and I felt awful about it, and it wasn't really my fault, you know. But I mean, I could have maybe prevented it. I don't know, but I think he's coming back soon. I think he's rehabbed and stuff like that, which is super cool. But that stuff always kind of, I wouldn't say scares me. It's like I just need to be like tiptoed into it. You know what I mean? So if I ever have a death match, it'll probably be against Dale, my trainer, and he's like the death match god. So
yeah, when I was looking at some of your matches yesterday on YouTube, and it was one that said death match. But it was, I think you were just out there sweeping the ring.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
I was like, okay, well, this dude wrestle a death match. It's gonna be cool to talk because I've been wanting to go to one.
yeah, dude, they're
I
insane
want
for
to go to
sure.
one
Those.
just so I can have that experience at least one time because
Oh yeah,
like I watched that Moxley against Cage or whatever. I can't
yeah.
remember his name, but man, I was like, they were like fighting their way through the crowd just to get to the
Hmm.
ring. I mean, it was a cool atmosphere. It seemed like.
Yeah, it's its own like type of wrestling. So it's not like your classic, wrestling where you see people lock up and tie up. I mean, you can, but those ones get crazy. I've seen Dale just bleeding and profusely. I've seen people I know that I'm friends with in the business just like bleeding and they're perfectly fine. It's like I don't know how you fucking do it, but it's crazy. But in that, I don't know if that, I haven't watched it, but that was AWR, which is a company that I've worked for since like the beginning.
I want to go check. I want to go
Gary,
check them out too.
yeah, Gary and Josh and them that run or own the Emerson Theater or rent the Emerson Theater. I'm not sure exactly the story, but they're good friends of mine as well. And they didn't have a ring crew, or I think they did, or they tried to, and I wasn't on the death match show, which was fine. But I was like, fuck it, I'll just sweep the fucking ring. And they were these plastic ass sweep
Yeah,
brooms, and they were breaking and stuff. I was like, I got glass to clean up, man. And there's one point in time where, which is my twin brother in that video, I think, as the video is, it's my twin brother, and they trying to get us to fight.
yeah, they were trying to get you to fight. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, they're trying to get us to fight, and I was like, I'm not taking a bump on glass. Not
Yeah,
for free.
I didn't realize that was your brother, but yeah.
Yeah, he's my twin brother. He's a little bit bigger than I am. He's a lot more jacked and stuff like that, and so
Cause
he's
he picked up something that had barbed wire on it, whatever, and act like he's
yeah,
gonna hit you with it.
I was like, no, please no.
Cause it came up and said death match. I was like, okay, no, check it out. I was like, oh, death match is already over.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. It's the quickest death match ever.
I'd like to go check one of them out just because when you watch them, it looks like a totally different experience.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I know that AWR is having a show in February. I think they're doing a tournament style, so you might get lucky in February. Yeah.
Ooh, Dell wrestled 2 matches with a broken foot.
Oh yeah, so actually at that tournament, I can't remember what he did. I think he broke a couple of his toes and his foot, and he wrestled 2 matches that day on a broken foot, watching him limp and stuff like that. Yeah, the dude goes hard, man. Him and Ace Perry are like best friends. Not like best friends, they are best friends, and they always tell each other, it's like never phone it in, go hard as fuck, always. You know what I mean? So you have Ace hyping up Dale and Dale hyping up Ace, and he's wrestling on a broken foot, and he probably shouldn't be, but they're going to anyway.
Is Austin Ryan? Is that your brother?
That is my brother. Yeah,
okay,
that's him.
He said we did. He said we did fight just later, not so glass filled.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. I'll have to get a hold of him too, see if he'd like to come on the show.
Yeah, you might.
I'm definitely gonna go check out that wrestling promotion.
Oh yeah, no, he if you get him on here, you might just see it from the perspective of a booker instead of a wrestler. So that might be pretty cool.
Yeah. We've had one other booker on, but other than that, it's mainly been wrestlers. Well,
yeah.
And then we had Manager of the Year Hollywood House on.
Oh yeah, he's awesome, man.
Oh yeah, I do. I love when he comes around.
Yeah, I've only seen him in person like 2 or 3 times and worked at New Wave together. I've never actually sat down and talked to him personally. So maybe I'll get on his podcast one of these days.
Yeah, he's a good guy to sit down and talk to. He's come over here twice now. Hopefully, if everything works out, he's gonna come over again here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
If you were talking to a younger guy that was going to get into the wrestling business, what kind of advice would you give him?
Oof. If I was talking to a younger guy, what advice would I give him? I would ask him. I'd look him dead in his eyes, like that scene from like Billy Madison where he's got the chubby kid's face in his hands, and I would look at him and I would say, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And I would look him dead in the eyes, and if he even hesitated for a second, I would be like, "Don't do it." But if he wanted to do it, I would just say, "Okay, if you're gonna do this, you need to give it 110%, because 100% ain't enough. Everyone gives 100%. You got to give it 110%. Even when you don't want to give 100%, you got to give 110%, because the moment you slip up, the moment that you take a break, someone's going to take your spot. Not like literally they're going to take your spot. It's like, but then like if you're up and coming, it's like Mustafa Ali and Kofi Mania. It was like, he got injured and someone took his spot. So it's like you need to be 100% all the time. And you have to be willing to make certain sacrifices. And you just have to, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to do this? If you want to do it, let's do it. But you have to be 100% into it, because if you're not, then you're not going to make
Yeah.
it.
When
That's the
you
advice I get.
training, like now, do you still get to train during the week and stuff, or is it? Are you traveling so much it's hard to?
Yeah, it's hard to train. So like sometimes I'll get shows early and I'll run the ropes and train stuff like that before a show. Training. Whenever I would wrestle, whenever I wrestle in Indiana, I would occasionally, like at night, I would go to like New Wave Pros arena or something like that, and they would let us in and kind of work there and work on some stuff. But other than that, it's really hard to train with a schedule where work wants to work you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday I'm wrestling. So it's hard to find time to do that. So most of my training comes from the gym and studying tape.
Gym, doing cardio stuff.
Yeah, trying. I say cardio, but ring cardio is not the same as running on a treadmill. You know what I mean? So
I always try to tell people that, because I was an amateur wrestler.
Yeah.
In high school, and wrestling shape and running shape are two totally different things.
Yeah. It's like you can run all day long, but you can't run and then get slammed on your back really fucking hard, stand back up and start moving again. You know what I mean? Get all the wind knocked out of you. It's hard to move. So it's definitely its own sense of cardio, and then fighting someone, pushing, and then them pushing you, but stopping them, and then it's its own.
And the only way you can really build that kind of cardio up is by doing it.
Exactly.
That's like in high school when we wrestled. It was like our best cardio was just at practice go live and just wrestle, because that's the only way you're gonna get in that kind of shape.
100%.
There was something else I had. I had something in my head I was going to ask you, and I lost it.
I'm sure we'll get around to it at some point. Or maybe we won't. Maybe I'll have to come back on for an episode 2. That's what we'll
do. You have any upcoming shows?
Yeah, I have a show this weekend. I'm riding up with Logan to 01 USA, which is in Illinois. They're partnering with IWAU. They're doing like a partnered show or something like that. So I'll be up there. I won't be wrestling, but I'll be there to support her and to show face. So I'm gonna be like, hey, I'm here. So I have my gear with me. So if you have an open spot, I'm here. The next day, we'll be driving down from Indiana to Tennessee, and then I'll actually be wrestling Logan in an intergender match at CCWA. And I'll be honest, I don't let up. I don't let her let up either. Like beat the shit out of me. You know? So that's a good thing about wrestling your friends too. Same thing with like when I wrestle Nate or something like that. It's always a little bit more stiff when you know the person, because it's like, I love you, but I'm gonna beat the shit out of you.
Is that because of more of a trust factor as well?
Yeah, like so. I wrestled Nate Matthews at BMFX, and like I said, it's always more stiff because I know how hard I can hit. But I always don't. I try not to cross that threshold when I'm wrestling someone I don't know, because then they think you might be disrespecting them.
Yeah.
He knows I'm not disrespecting him, so when I blast him, he blasts me back, and it's like, okay, we're on the same page. And then there's one time we hit a move spot, and we were getting up, and he smacked me in the face so hard. My ear was ringing and shit. He smacked me so hard, and then I literally couldn't even react because I couldn't hear, and I was just like so stunned. He had to pick me up and be like, "All right, my bad." Like said sorry to me and stuff like that. But it definitely is like a trust factor for sure when you're wrestling someone because you know that they're not trying to be disrespectful. Sometimes it feels that way, but it's that it's not, unless, because if I was to hit Nate Matthews the way I was going to hit whoever I'm going to wrestle this weekend, they're going to take it differently. Like, why'd you hit me so hard, man?
Yeah.
Lighten up, dude.
Does it make it hard, like, getting to these shows and maybe getting thrown out there with a guy you don't know?
It
Because
can
you don't
be.
have no chemistry together. You never worked together.
Yeah, I've wrestled someone, and I won't say their name either, but I've wrestled someone who was apparently super good and stuff like that. I wrestled them, and we had no in-ring chemistry at all, and I'll probably never wrestle them again. It's just that's how it is. It's like there's no reason for me to wrestle you knowing we just don't have chemistry. We just don't. But I've wrestled people where I have fucking magic with. I wrestled Shiloh Greaves one time, who is a person at New Wave Pro, and that dude just knows how to be a heel. Same thing with Jordan James, knows how to be a heel, so there's just magic there. Nate Matthews just knows how to fucking wrestle, so there's magic there. So it's definitely harder when you're wrestling someone you don't know, but you can always get a general vibe off of somebody listening to how they talk about wrestling or how they quote their spots or whatever. Sometimes you'll hear them talk and you'll go, I feel like you have no idea what you're talking about, but we're going to do this anyway because I'm paid to be here. And then there's times where they'll talk and they're like, they have so many ideas and they're like, oh, what if we did this? This would be cool if we did this. Okay. And then there's the exact opposite where it's like, we should probably take this spot out because it wouldn't make sense. That's a good wrestler. That's when you know you have a good performer across from you, is when they know something isn't going to work or something isn't going to make sense and they want to take stuff out. People always want to throw shit in. People always want to do all these spots and stuff like that. But when you have someone who's like, actually, we should take a step back and take this out, that's when you know you got someone good across from you. But when you don't know the person, it's definitely a lot harder because you don't want to be disrespectful, because you don't want to be like, hey, how long you been wrestling? Oh, I've been wrestling longer than you. Okay, I'm taking over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, because I've wrestled someone who was 15 years in and wrestled like twice a year, so he's only had like 20 matches. But since he was 15 years in, by default, he's technically my vet, so I have to listen to him. But it's like I've had more matches than you in 1 year than you've had in your entire wrestling career. So it's definitely it's its own battle for sure. But I don't think there's anyone I've ever wrestled where I fucking hate that guy, you know. So I wouldn't say it's a big deal.
Can you tell by like that talk, like when you first meet him, when you start talking about the match and wrestling, can you kind of tell then like if you're going to have some chemistry or not?
Yeah, like I said, it's how they respond to certain things and how they, like, most veterans don't take control of the match. What I've always done, and when I'm ever a veteran, quote unquote, just meaning I've wrestled longer than someone else, or I might have a little bit more experience than someone else, it's always like, okay, what do you want to do? What kind of match do you want to have? What do you want to do? When I've had people talk to me and they come to me and as I'm talking, they want to change my spots that I do, or they want to add in something that doesn't make sense, or they want to do stuff their way for their finish. They want to do it, and they want to get themselves over, blah, blah, blah. You know, I've had someone do a specific thing, cut a promo, bury me completely, and I didn't know they were going to cut a promo, smack me in the face because they were trying to get heat or whatever without telling me, and then during the match, after the match, beat me up to get heat without telling me, so they were putting themselves over, and I was just like, okay, so we're just not going to wrestle you ever again. And I should have known, because that was the time when that happened that taught me, was like, okay, if anyone ever like interrupts you or talks over you and tries to change stuff, you're probably not going to have good chemistry with that person.
Yeah, you mentioned Jordan James. I like watching him wrestle too.
Oh yeah, that dude. He's been wrestling. I think he's been wrestling for quite some time. But he's the first person that really taught me that like, if the way you get someone over as a babyface is to be such a good bad heel. Like, you're just such a heel that they have nothing to do except cheer for the babyface, because he's so good at being bad, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So he knows what he's doing. He's been doing it for a long time, and it's so cool to watch him. I've wrestled him one time at WCWO, and then I was like, that same exact moment where I was like, this dude is such an awesome heel, and it's so simple to him. And then I wrestled him years later at BMFX, and it's the same scenario where he just knows how to be a heel. It's a simple match. It's not hard to do at all. And then he just, like I said, just puts me over as a babyface because he's such a good heel.
Yeah, he's been on the show, and then actually Friday he came out and he had one of our G.W.R shirts on.
Heck yeah!
And he actually gave us a shout out during the match. It was pretty cool. But he's a great heel.
Oh yeah, he's awesome.
Who was he? Oh, he was wrestling Rachel.
Yeah.
Rachel Armstrong, who he wrestled Friday. What's the biggest promotion that you wrestled in?
I'm gonna have to think. Biggest crowd wise, New Wave Pro had their anniversary show last year, and I was a part of that. And I was still a green kid who didn't know what he was doing, and that crowd was sold out, and it was so awesome because it's the first time I had actually experienced that sellout feeling, and there were so many people. It was so loud, so that was cool. I would say that is probably it.
How many people? How many people you think was there?
I'd say about like 400 people.
Okay, that's a pretty good crowd.
At least if not, it felt that way.
That's a pretty good crowd.
Yeah, for sure. And the biggest company I've worked for, I don't think I've worked for like a pre-show on any like big companies or anything like that. I think that every company I work for is pretty much even on the basis of like they all have pretty decent crowds. But I'd say the biggest one crowd-wise was probably a New Wave Pro anniversary for sure.
What you have like a favorite match that you've had?
Yeah, well, one of my favorite matches actually comes from another WCWO match. It's me versus one of the real twins. I don't know if they're gonna hate me for this. I don't know if it was Damien or Damon. It's one of the two. All right.
I like watching them guys.
Oh yeah, they're awesome too. I was wrestling one of them, and that was the first match where I was able to take over as a quote unquote vet because I had more experience than he did, not by much, maybe like a year or so, maybe not even that. And that match was where I was able to dictate the pace of the match, and everything clicked. Everything started to make sense. Why am I doing a shine? Why am I doing a cutoff? Why? And I'm kind of breaking kayfabe here, but it's like, why do things happen in a wrestling match that happen? Like, why does it happen? And it was made sense, and I was able to dictate the pace of that match based on crowd reaction, because what I had seen was so many independent wrestling matches that came out of WCW at the time were just matches to be matches. They wanted to do their spots. So one of the things I fucking hated so much was when a crowd would clap up and they'd start building it up, and then they're not doing anything. They're not responding to, they're not dictating the pace of the crowd itself. So we had our spots, we had our match, and I was like, everything in between needs to be spaced out based on the crowd. So if you do a crazy spot, but the crowd isn't up, they're not going to care, right? Or if they're up and you do something lazy, they don't care. So that was the first match where I was like, all right, the crowd's building up. Let's do this spot. You know what I mean? And you do the comeback, and then now they're even higher. Now you're trading falsies back and forth, and now they're even higher. And so it's like that roller coaster. You have to build up to it. You know what I mean? And a lot of people just do spots to do spots. And that was the first match where I taught myself, where I learned, or it clicked in my brain, where I was like, all of this makes sense now. All of this makes sense. For a year, I was wrestling in scramble matches at WCWO and didn't have the opportunity to learn those things. And now I had the singles opportunity, and I did it, and I was like, okay, yep, this makes sense. This all made sense. I just needed to have my match, I guess. Yeah, because there's more to it than just moves. You have to have that psychology. Yes,
that's what me as a wrestling fan, that's what draws me in.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're doing 10 flips. Yeah. I want to know.
Yeah,
I want to have an idea in my head of why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, why you're doing 10 flips. Why are you doing 10 flips? You just do them to do them. It didn't make sense. But that was the first match where I had learned all that stuff. So I consider that one of my favorite matches because it clicked so much. Other than that, my favorite match would probably be one of my matches somewhere down the line with Nate Matthews. It'd be one of them. I don't know which one it is, but it'd be one of them.
Yeah, I saw a couple on there. I'm going to have to watch one of them. I watched about 3 or 4. Oh, no, I watched 4 or 5 last night, and I was like, man, I got to go to bed.
Yeah, I got to go to sleep.
Well, that's why I've been watching. I watch here lately. I've been watching more independent wrestling than I watch WWE or AEW. I like NXT. I think NXT was in my opinion was better when it was the black and gold.
Yeah, it was.
And I liked it. I liked it because it was like an old school hard hitting style.
Yeah. It's like the strong side.
Yeah, when you throw a punch, I want it to look real. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree. Sometimes it was. It was real.
And I think they got some on the new NXT. I think they got some stars on there. I think that Braun Breaker is going to be a big star.
Oh yeah, for sure. No shot, he's not.
I prefer the old school black and gold.
Yeah, Yeah.
I watch a lot of the NXT UK now.
Yeah, I heard that's really good. I haven't watched
It's a good hard hitting style.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Uh, well, I was already asked you about the promotion. I was about to ask you the same thing. Well, before we get out of here, do you have anything that you want to plug?
Um,
Get your stuff out there.
I'm always that person who never plugs anything. Follow me on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I would say follow Logan Vatour on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook, and Matt Brannigan and Eric Dillinger and Nate Matthews, the Clickfell crew, where we do Seinfeld bits. And I'll plug Matt Brannigan has an OnlyFans, so follow Matt Brannigan's OnlyFans. That man's in California, so he's making bucos of money. You know, he's getting jacked and making money, so good for him. Other than that, I mean, I don't really have anything else. I mean, follow me on social media so you can share all my gifs and tweets and stuff like that, so I can be famous one day. How about that?
I put your Facebook on the screen. I didn't know your other stuff.
No, you're good. Hey, that works because then they'll eventually go to the other things.
All right. Well, before we get out of here, first of all, I want to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Definitely would like to have you back at some point.
Absolutely. It's a fun time. Fun time. Maybe I'll try and convince us to, if I can get, I'll try and convince Matt or Nate or Eric to get on here, and then one day you'll get all four of us, and that'll be bedlam. It'll be insane.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool. We've had who do we have on here together? Oh, we had Hollywood House and the ladies' man Mike King on here together.
Okay, yeah, that was probably entertaining.
Yeah, that was good. You know Mike King?
Yeah, I know him. Yeah, he's it's probably intense to get them two together in the same room. So
now Mike King's actually how we got into doing the independent wrestling stuff.
Heck yeah, dude. There you go.
Yeah, we went to watch one of their shows. Me and my dad did, and I had started doing my sports podcast and stuff. And
yeah.
I went and talked to him and Terry, the other guy that runs it, and said, "Hey, it's like, yeah,
do it."
So I done their next show, streamed it live, done commentary, and now I'm done it at 3 different organizations, and I'm going to 3 new ones in this next week to do it.
Heck yeah, it's all.
I'm gonna get a hold of some of these other promotions and see if they'd be interested in having us come.
Yeah, I don't see why not. You know. Never know though. People are weird.
Most people I've talked to have want me to come. There was one place they already have people doing that, so which I understand. So I try to get a hold of the people that I don't see no video on.
Yeah, that's smart. That's smart.
And the wrestlers seem to like it because I mean it's a video to help get you guys out there as well.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't have any problem with it because I need as much help as I can get. You know.
What's the farthest you've traveled?
Farthest I've traveled is probably Florida. So I wrestled. Me and Ace Perry rode in a car. It's supposed to be me, Ace Perry, and Matt, but Matt had to back out last minute. But it was me and Ace Perry drove from Indianapolis all the way to Florida. I don't know if it was Tampa or whatever. We drove all the way to Florida, or I think it was Tampa. I don't know where it was at, but it was in 16 hours to Florida, and we were taking turns and driving. And then as soon as we got there, we had a wrestling show to get to. And then, so there was no like, oh, let's check into our hotel and then let's unpack and relax. Yeah. It was drive to Florida, get to a show, then go to a hotel. Yeah. And I was exhausted.
I was going to say, car ride, it makes you exhaust you more than anything.
Yes, it does. It was rough, but that's probably the furthest I've traveled. And then did that for it was for WrestleMania weekend. It was I've never been to WrestleMania weekend, so I got myself booked on a couple like scramble matches and stuff like that. And Ace Perry, this is a big match for Ace Perry at GCW, and I think it was GCW. But right afterwards, we got back in the car and went back home, and it was awesome. I think we somehow WrestleMania tickets were super cheap that year. It was the one where it was the pirate ship and shit. We went and watched WrestleMania, watched Edge, Daniel Bryan, and Roman Reigns in the main event and stuff like that. And then that same night was the night where, all right, WrestleMania's done. We had our weekend, let's leave, and drove 13, 14, 15, 16 hours back. And yeah, it's rough. But
was there big crowds at those? Was there big crowds at those shows?
Not the ones I was at. We'll say that the GCW one, of course. Ace Perry had his match with Effie, where Ace got his soul back and that's part of a storyline they were doing. And that crowd was outside and they were drinking, but the sun was so hot and stuff like that. I think there's videos on YouTube of people at that show that were in ring wrestling and they were throwing up because the heat was that bad. But the show was good. I mean, there were people and they were loud and stuff like that.
Like when they have the WrestleMania, like there in Florida, that week, do like all the independent promotions have shows too?
Yeah, so it's kind of like a way of since people are coming down for that weekend to watch WrestleMania, how can we get as much money as a company? Let's go down, have people who love wrestling have a show Thursday, Friday, Saturday. WrestleMania is on Sunday, so they'll have shows. And there'll be all types of shows on those days. Thursday, Fridays are flying here. Oh, God. But yeah, there's they'll have shows all weekend long, and there's a bunch of different promotions you can go to on WrestleMania weekend.
What's WrestleMania would come to Indianapolis?
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be real nice. One of these days.
I want to go to one with my dad. But...
Yeah, I went to WrestleMania and I talked about it. I was like, I always want to go to WrestleMania. It was so lackluster and stuff like that, and I was like, man, this is just not.
Well, that's really what I told him. I said, we're probably going to go. We're going to probably say, hell, we should have stayed home and watched it on TV. Yeah. But it's just the experience to being there.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we'll be able to see it a hell of a lot better at home on TV because neither one of us have the money to get up close.
Oh yeah.
If we're there, we're going to be up at the nosebleed somewhere.
Yeah, that's what me and Ace did when we went and watched WrestleMania.
But you can say you've been there.
We ended up sneaking down. We ended up sneaking down and sat in someone else's seats that weren't there. So I'm really worried about it.
Were you able to get pretty low?
Yeah. I mean, it was right behind a hard cam tent. So there's like a little tent because it was raining. And it was hard cam. So right there for I think every match except for the main event. And then those people apparently all of a sudden had come back. Like, hey, we were looking for our seats. And I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. Yeah. Like, kiss my ass. Like, you weren't here for the last 4 matches. What were you fucking doing, But so we weren't going to argue with them because we definitely weren't in the right seats.
So that's the WrestleMania where they had the weather delay and stuff.
Yes, they did. Yes, because it rained. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. We go over to my dad's house every WrestleMania. It's like his Super Bowl. We go over there and he'll make all kinds of food. And now it's 2 nights, so we go over there 2 nights in a row.
Oh yeah. It's 2 nights now. Yeah, forget about that. Whenever WrestleMania comes back around this year.
Yeah, I still don't know if I like the 2 nights or if I'd rather the one.
I don't. I'd rather have it be 1 night.
I guess people's complaining about being too long, but hell, as long as I'm entertained, I don't care how long it is.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes I forget what time it is, and I'm like, oh shit, it's like 1 a.m. I gotta go to bed.
Well, like the NXT the other night, I thought that show went quick.
Yeah, there's only like 4 or 5 matches.
We done the live watch along. Me and my dad did. And
yeah,
I was like, fuck, it's main event already. But that happens. Right. But all right, before we get out here, don't forget we're live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, Easy Money, a sports betting show. And we're also live at 1 p.m. Eastern, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 1 p.m. with G.W.R. Gonzo Sports Room. I'll be announcing this Friday what day our new pro wrestling podcast, G.W.R. We're going to start releasing a weekly show. I'll announce what day that's going to come out on Friday. And then we're still going to do our G.W.R. live interviews and all that stuff. So we got a lot going on. Follow us on social media so you don't miss any of it. At Gonzo Sports Room, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Check out the merch store. Got t-shirts, hoodies on there. We appreciate it. You got anything before we get out of here?
No, man. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, I appreciate coming up. Like I said, I'd love to have you back sometime.
Absolutely.
And all right, we'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 11. Don't forget, tomorrow's a big day. Where's my calendar so I don't get mixed up? Tomorrow we have Easy Money at 11, GSR at 1. Pro wrestler Travis Southern's going to be on at 3 o'clock. And then tomorrow evening at 7 p.m., WCW owner Blake Money Wright is going to be live in studio tomorrow night. So we got 4 shows tomorrow, so come hang out with us.
Busy day.
Well, we'll